Hey, it's Chris. So, finally at the end of July, a couple games I've already talked about once or twice, a couple games that got delayed once or twice, and a couple games that I didn't get a chance to talk about but got delayed that I was planning on talking about previously are now upcoming on the crowdfunding this upcoming week. And, funny enough, the 1 week I'm on vacation, so I will not have a crowdfunding roundup on these ones, and they go live on next Friday, but you can darn be guaranteed that I'm going to be shooting something snarky in the comment section or doing a YouTube short to let you know how I feel about a few of them, because especially if you missed yesterday's video, these pages this past week were incredibly forking lackluster. Like, no gameplay video, barely any explanation. We're just seeing people getting away from that and just treading on their IP as a whole, right? Like Mordred, not a great example. It's spruced the page up a little bit, but also Shadows of Brimstone, Sword and Sorcery. There was like the Killer Bunnies thing from this past week. Just crap on the page, right? Like, come on, folks. There is a correlation, a strong correlation to what effort you put onto the page, how your funding is. Not always completely linear, but definitely, So there's that. Also, I did a little GameFound rant yesterday. The fact that GameFound, I covered two games that launched on GameFound this past week. Baron Zom's Die of the Dead or whatever, and this wooden puzzle masterpiece thing sort of thing. But the real issue was, if you went over to the GameFound page, neither of them were on the front page. There was one active campaign on the whole front of GameFound. One. And it was, guess what? Planet Unknown. The only one that's raising significant 6 figures worth of money. The other two, they've got like $20,000 each. Why aren't they on the page though? If you want to get small creators, like that's the thing. If I was a small creator right now, I don't care what sort of cut difference, and it's not huge, cut difference that GameFound does right now. Like GameFound and BackerKit are really dropping the ball in terms of enticing those small ones, because they aren't getting any exposure whatsoever. You go into BackerKit, there's all sorts of non-board game stuff. Yeah, I mean, their price is a little bit better. They're throwing in a pledge manager or whatnot. But if you get, 3% extra taken off, but if you get like 60,000 on Kickstarter and 10,000 on GameFound, that 3% ain't going to make a big difference. Right? Anyway. That's not why you tuned in. What's upcoming this week? Well, for starters, this might be one of my top games of July as a whole. Wizards & Co. from Sinister Fish Games. Again, this sort of chaotic style drafting from a central octagon card-driven game just seems really cool. It seems like my type of game. Short 30 to 45 minutes, complete chaos as you're drafting these monsters, battling, going head-to-head. I just love this take that style of game in the first place. And this is a complete departure from their other ones like Streets and Moon and those sort of, engine building, just nice, gentle, not take that style of game as well. So that one's launching on the 25th, and I just can't wait to see. Now, what's the incentive? A little expansion, a little promo. Why am I getting on crowdfunding? That's always the big question with this one. And they've done a little bit of more of the expansion promo thing, I think, previously. None of the exclusives, as far as I can remember, but they definitely, I believe, right? That's me as a nutshell right there. They had some exclusivity in terms of some deluxifications. So that's what you're going to be potentially looking at. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of one of my more recent favorite games of WizWar, only this is card driven. You're just being a wizard, a greedy wizard, and spell slinging and, hiring monsters and trying to get them to fight for you. And just rinse and repeat. Face up, face down, octagonal dungeon boards that you're going to be doing them, and just sort of reveal and go. This one is clearly one of my biggest ones of the month in general, of things I can actually see myself backing, because this is the stuff that I'm getting to the table. This is the stuff that's just super fun to play, and I can't underrate that sort of thing in the first place. The other one, because actually Wizard & Co. was actually supposed to launch the 18th. That's why I didn't cover it last week, because if you actually click the crowdfunding page, the pre-launch page, it actually changed the date on the page, and that's how I knew. Anyway, though. Okay, now we are getting the latest edition, the Innovation Edition, the Ultimate Deluxified Legendary Superfluous Edition over on BackerKit. And this one, again, was delayed twice. It was supposed to be the beginning of the month, then the middle of the month, and now the 27th. And we're going to see what Asamdi Games has in store for us. They're outing a new era at the end of the game. They're also adding some errata. The previous editions, it's not even compatible with. They're not offering any upgrades. If you're like me and you bought the deluxe at the peak of spending way too much money, well, now I've seen it go for about 2/3 of the price I paid for it, like 3 months ago before they announced this Ultimate Edition. So how do you feel about that? I love the gameplay of it. I love the idea of it. Do you need like 6 expansions though? The honest answer is no. The base game will be fine for you. And that's a game I'm actually thinking about taking with me on vacation right now, just so I can see it get played a little bit more. It's because it's got, simple to play rules, but the depth and the complexity of the game in a nutshell is just massive. So that's what I want to see. But again, like, why am I going to get it? Except for the fact that you're going to tell me again that this isn't going to be available at retail, just like Deluxe wasn't. But if I have Deluxe, do I really need this one? And the answer is no. It's just, are you going to entice enough people to get a new edition of it? Or people that haven't gotten in, why are they going to get it now, right? Like, why don't they just pick up the base game for $5 in the secondary market instead of the, $60 or so you're probably going to charge? And don't get me wrong, like, this is probably one of my other most anticipated games of the month, but there's a lot more ifs and whys with this one than several of the others as well, which is why overall I wasn't as high on it in the first place. Potential, awesome. Practicality, maybe less so right now. The third and last big one over this week is over on GameFound. Speaking of GameFound and the Rant, but it's the Masquerade, the Milan Uprising. Now, this is going to sound slightly familiar, slightly different, because this is from Teburu, the Teburu system where you've got the big miniatures on the electronic board. Their previous game, I'm completely blanking on, but I had a copy of it. I talked about it previously on the channel when it was launching and kind of going live. It's a very divisive system because the game itself is going to be separate from the Teburu system. You actually have to buy the Teburu system in order to use it, but it's going to be compatible with all their games in their line. It's sort of like Lucky Duck, only imagine Lucky Duck made you pay like, $100 for their app to be able to use with, Destinies and, Dark Quarter and the other more recent one that I'm completely blanking on as well. So that's the sort of situation you've got going on here. But it's with Vampire the Masquerade, and again, it's heavy miniature driven. So how do you feel about that? They calling it on the GameFound page like the future of board games. Gaming system integrated with the digital side of things, no rule book necessary, immersive storytelling, and saving as well as being online. So it's a narrative driven game though. And that's the question of this side of all things. Do you actually want to get in on this? Because that's what it was, the Bad Karmas and the Curse of the Zodiac. I don't know. And that's a tricky question because if you actually go to the GameFound page right now, the preview page for them, they have a link to the previous campaign talking about, hey, this is the game that was previously, right? The Bad Karmas. And you click on it and it's like, hey, is this delivered? No, it's not actually delivered yet. It's still in production. And granted, it was only supposed to be delivered in April. So they're only nearly 4 months overdue. But to be launching a second game with the same system that people haven't even seen how the system is going to fare in the first place as a smart board game console system, that would make me very trepidatious about how well this is going to work, the compatibility, and just everything else to go along with it. Because this is an expensive thing. It's not like a board game, where if you have a card go bad or if you have a miniature break, like you can easily replace it or just not worry about it, right? If this system breaks, like how easy and what is the guarantee that they're going to be, fine-tuning it, upgrading it, or it even being obsolete in a year or two? Remember Golem Arcana, anybody? Just putting that out there. So don't get me wrong, Vampire the Masquerade is all the rave now with all of those. I know it's got a strong following from an IP standpoint, but is it actually going to be worthwhile? Is it going to entice you, especially with an electronic system? Because it's a very divisive thing in our hobby right now as a whole. I mean, I mentioned Lucky Duck, right? People are very anti-Lucky Duck because of those app-driven systems, and this is basically taking that to the nth degree. So there you go. What else we got going on? Well, again, I'm going to hopefully have a couple reviews out this week. I'm going to try. That's the big question. What game should I bring with me on my vacation? Like I said, I've got, the copy of Wayfarers of the South Tigris right here. I've got a couple reviews down here. I'd love to bring some of the Koale, the abstract game from Hatchet. I love that one. I'm really going to probably bring like something like Wiz Wars here with the expansion and Race to the Raft. I'm really going to bring those, maybe with Clank's Catacombs, big box, maybe not the big box version of Quacks, but something along those lines. My kids personally love Marvel United, but if I'm going to bring like the Marvel United stuff that I want to bring plus the stuff that they want to bring, like that's a lot of space. I'm going to try and shove all of Spirit Island into one box so I can do that. And then I'm probably, again, for the third year in a row, going to bring Marvel Champions and not play it all together, even though like that's one of the preeminent solo games for me as well. I've got a couple other games like from crowdfunding that I've never reviewed, a game called Soul Givers that it just needs to get to the table. I've got another secret review that'll be coming out next week of a game that I would highly, highly recommend that you look at but never buy. I take that back. It's a game that is absolutely fantastic. I paid a pretty penny for it, but it's already paid off in spades. It's just because it's that expensive, it's hard to also recommend, right? Like if I pay triple digits for a game, it better be one of the best games in your collection, or it better be filling a spot. And that's what it is. Filling a spot that my kids have absolutely adored. And they were super excited when I showed it to them. And they were super excited to bring it to our vacation to show their cousins as well. So that right there, folks, is relatively rare. Otherwise, I don't know what else I'm going to bring with me. Maybe Castles by the Sea, maybe Bad Company. My wife prefers space-based, so I'm trying to think of other like party games. Like I was trying to pick up, like I said, Feed the Kraken on the secondary market, couldn't get it done. And, you know, people are scalping that for like $60 when it goes for 40 at retail. And the publisher's website is selling it for like $90. So I'm not doing that. But, you know, something else like the Puzzle Strike, Millennium Blades is a, you know, fever dream. And, you know, we'll see. Speaking of fever dreams, Root. Like, I'd love to get... One of my brother-in-laws plays with us. Two of my other brother-in-laws have never played anything except for Lords of Waterdeep. Like, they'd be interested, but like, it has to be like a hard sell for them. They would rather sit there and do the New York Times crossword puzzles than play board games. So, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just kind of a harder sell from them. I think they really like some of this stuff because they're both super smart and they're both super thinky. And so, like, if I could get them like playing Talk or Hive or something, I think they'd love it. But they don't always want to give it a chance either. So it's kind of this strange dichotomy of how you do that and how heavy I push that, and then how much do I tailor it to the light side of things versus the harder side of things of the rules. So you can see why I end up bringing like 30 games and getting 4 of them played, right? But yeah, I'm only going to bring Deduction Murder in Hong Kong as a strategy game, or Deduction. But yeah, I'm only going to bring Deduction Murder in Hong Kong. Maybe Secret Voldemort, which is a print and play version of Secret Hitler. But I don't know. I also got a copy of Wingspan with 2 expansions in the math trade, so maybe I'll bring that because I think my wife would really like that as well. I've never played Wingspan. I've never played Wingspan. Confession right there. So, oh yeah. Also, if you missed it, last week actually I was on Facebook talking to a designer of another game that I'll be talking about in the near future for a review at the beginning of the next month. But he's like, hey, by the way, love your work. Loved your collaboration with Board Game Co, Alex. And so I was like, what? Yeah, I went live. So if you missed it, you can go check that out over on his channel. We talked about FOMO. We talked about FOMO in terms of my FOMO and his FOMO. But I thought we were talking about FOMO of like games that we like FOMO on personally. And he took it as games that like the hobby FOMO's in terms of just like never ending copies and never ending iterations. So, you know, surprisingly, we actually had about 3 or 4 overlaps in the list of 10, which was kind of cool. And we just got to banter and talk back and forth. And I was super nervous throughout the whole thing. And I totally made probably a fool of myself. And that's why I think I only got like 100 subscribers to come over from his channel to join me here on this channel with you guys. So, whatever. I'm totally up for doing it again, but we'll see if the opportunity arises. You know, when you make a fool of yourself, sometimes those doors shut. I don't know. It was a good time though. It's a good time. So, you know me. I just love talking about board games, and we're about at 8K right now, so which is amazing. So thank you guys so much for the support. Patreon people as well. I'll have something a little special out for you guys this weekend as well, prior to the vacation, just because you guys have been cool and not pestering me, and you guys are just awesome too. So that's all I got. Freaking cool. Have a great weekend. I'm working before the vacation though every day. Like I work literally until I get out and to go to vacation, and then I'm gone. So I have to be all packed up and all videoed out like the night before, because my wife is going to be like, time to go, baby. And I'm going to be like, honey, I can't decide which of the 500 games that I want to bring, the 20, 30 of them that I want to. Anyway, you know what I'm saying, though. You know what I'm saying. It's a week long, and we're going to be away. And how do you decide? It's tricky. Let me know in the comment section if you got suggestions of which ones I should do or which ones I should stay away from. I really want to bring Root. I won't. I have a Clockwork expansion. No one's going to play that with me, though. I know. It's here versus here, right? Stay classy. See you around.